Okay, as we look at this subject this morning, Jonathan Williamson requested the subject of how not to basically pass on to another person the same negative influence that you might have been grown up with. That we don't take in other words, let's put it in very simple form. Let's not take our past, the negative part of our past, and pass it on to someone else, is basically what Jonathan just asked. So I thank him for that question. That's a really, really good leadership question that he has. As we look at that subject, how do we not pass on negativity to the next generation, to the next person, whatever it might be, the people around us, our teams, our families, the list goes on. So how do we not do that? Well, the simple answer to that is quit being negative for ourselves. Now, we all know that we have a negative bias. And with that, it's very hard to not be negative. So before I strive to just make it very simple and say, let's all stop being negative, I would like to remind us why we're negative. Some sort of a cognitive dissonance. We tend to, and that's where the negative bias comes in, is so much more negative about things than we are positive. But let's take a look, where does that come from? Many years ago, before we had cell phones and before we had internet and before we had television, before we had radios and before we had guns, there was a time where people had to work very hard just to survive. That's all they could do basically day in and day out, was try to survive. In certain areas, not all, but in many areas that was the case. In the rural areas, so to speak, lots of years ago, they would find themselves sharing stories of how nearly they got caught by a wildcat when they just got done killing a big bull, right? And they were trying to take that home to their families, their tribe, and in some cases a wildcat came along, run them off, and ate their food. So these were stories that were shared around the fire when everybody was hungry and thinking about that buffalo that they might have ate, but they got to watch some of their ancestors and their families die from starvation and get torn apart by tigers and bears and things of that nature. That's what they seen. They were striving to survive. And so the more of those stories they would share, the more the people would understand how to deal with negative situations. There wasn't much positivity talked about. Most of what they talked about was the negative things that weren't good, things that killed someone or almost killed someone or ripped someone's arm off or whatever the list goes on, right? I'm being a bit graphic, but trying to also help us understand that that was a way us as human nature dealt with a lot of tough situations, was sharing the negative of what was going on, what was happening. And so that became a very powerful part of human existence, was being able to identify the negativity. So today, that is no longer the case. You can get on your iPhone or your Droid phone, your smartphone, and you can order something from Amazon and have it delivered to your house. You can order so many different things that's delivered right to your house. You don't have to leave your house for a long time. Stay right there. Don't even have to go to the store. You can have all that stuff delivered. The thought of a wildcat being any sort of threat is unheard of unless you go to some park hiking and Once in a while there's one that might do something, but rare does that happen. Doesn't threaten human existence, even close. Not even, doesn't touch it, doesn't phase it. But guess what we still have is that negative part of us that just wants to see the bad. So since we're not talking about how bad things were yesterday, from how close call we had with a bear and a cheetah and a tiger, and how we came home without any food, but we killed something for the animals. They took it away. Since we're not talking about that subject, we find something else to talk about. And then we go to talking about how bad it will be in the future, how bad tomorrow is going to be, and how tough things will look. And that's the news outlets. They're most of the time talking about how bad things are going to be. Probably 98 to 99% of the recessions that they predict don't happen. Like, I'm reminded of a certain guy by the name of Grant Cardone. Recently, I watched a little clip of his, a couple months ago, when he was predicting a recession coming on. He was using that as a way to inspire people to do something you wanted done. And I found it quite interesting as he was promoting recession. He was promoting fear tactics, negative tactics to try to sell people. It's my challenge for all the people that believe that something good can happen to you, for all of the people that believe the word where it says, God knows his plans for us, and those are to prosper us and to not harm us. You see, for us to really step into the fullness of, let me step away from that description. Let me just say, to step into what God truly has for us here. Our ability to be all that we can be and to be very successful in business, we get to recognize how many of our thoughts are negative about our future. And as we recognize how many of our thoughts are negative about the future, it helps us understand the results we're getting today and why we're creating the types of results that we're creating, why our leadership seems to be capped, why our ability in teaching or being a parent seems to be capped. Yesterday morning, I was communicating with a young man that came to me and wanted some support around a certain situation. A dear close friend of his turned on him and started bad-mouthing him to his other friends. And he was, how do I handle that? He's bad-mouthing me, and he's saying all these things to my other friends. So he didn't listen to the story, and at the end I asked him, how did you know that? And he shared with me which one of his friends told him. So this is my answer to him. I would challenge the friend that told you, why did you even hear that stuff in the first place? Why did you even hear that in the first place? First thing I would do is not let that friend share anything like that with me ever again. If some of my friends say something bad about me, please help yourself, but keep it to yourself. I don't care to know. I don't want to know. It's none of my business. Just none of my business. So keep it to yourself. When you start rejecting all negativity said about you and you don't listen to it, you free yourself from the negative bias. You free yourself from, you see, it takes far more cognitive resources to deal with negativity than it does positive thoughts. So that's why people that are dealing with negativity all day long are so exhausted and tired at the end of the day, because that's all their thoughts are doing, and that takes a lot of energy that should not be used. That energy should be used in other areas of your physiology to keep you moving smoothly and keep your immune system up and keep you healthy and all the good things that come that should be a part of our life. We destroy it by allowing negativity to be a main common or a main denominator in our life. So how to change all that? It's first to recognize that it is, to have the identity, understand that that's how I'm performing. Then as you choose to change it, you start recognizing every time that you have a negative thought. You identify it, you replace it with a positive one. Yeah, that's tough and it's hard to do. If it's someone that you have an issue with, write out 7 things that you appreciate about that person. And every time you think something negative about that person, replace it with those 7 things that you appreciate about the person. That's a powerful way to start reversing negative thoughts about people. And then if it's about a situation, what did you learn from the situation? You might do 3 or 4 things about the situation that you're a better person because of that situation. And you can start turning your life around on that and become far more positive about any situation. Let me be very clear. Positive thinking isn't the answer to everything by no stretch of the imagination. But I will tell you, it makes life so much easier when you're on a positive float in your life. You're just, everything that you think about, you're excited, you're positive, you're looking forward to the future, you're looking forward to the day, you're looking forward to the conversations, and it's just amazing. It's incredible. Life is good and getting gooder, right? If you can get that positive, and you can only see the good in the things around you, circumstances, situations, the people, you have no choice but to start having positive outcomes in life. This is my challenge for every person listening in, is to have patience with yourself while you're developing the positive mindset. You see, the best way to not pass negativity on to the next generation is to not be negative. Very simple. No more and no less. It's not complicated. It's not complex like we are. We are very complex as human beings. Most complex animal, being, whatever, that exists on the planet. AI can't touch you. Your brain is, my brain is many times more complex than AI can imagine to be. Everybody's afraid of AI and what it's going to do and how it has a mind of its own. And I have news for the people. AI can only do what's been entered. So I'm not here to argue that. It's no big deal. I'm not fearful of it. It certainly has no power over me in terms of me being afraid of what it's doing and what it will do and all that nonsense. It is a tool. That's all it is. Use it respectfully and it'll treat you respectfully. You, on the other hand, have the dignity of choice given by the Creator himself. And with that, we're challenged because making positive choices in a negative world can be a bit of a challenge. But once you've built that muscle, you just want to vomit when you're with someone that's just negative. Makes your stomach curl. So with us having the dignity of choice, we get to exercise those choices on a daily basis. If I ever find myself being a bit negative about what future might hold, I get to recognize that quickly and reverse it and support it with something positive. I cannot allow myself to go down that path because the reward for negativity is so far from what I'm interested in. I just don't want the outcome of negativity. I don't want the harvest of negativity. I don't want to put my mental combine down and start harvesting a crop of negativity. I'm not interested in it. Neither should you be. Every person that's interested in having a better life. So understanding that, yes, you can turn it around. It is self-awareness, self-discipline, commitment, dedication, and turning good ideas into something habitual. Every time that you replace a negative thought with a positive thought, it becomes a little bit closer to being a deeply etched in concept. You see, every situation that has happened in our life that was negative gets etched into our brain much deeper than the positive situation. So it's easy to remember it. That's why my mentor told me years ago, he said, when I was sharing with him that $250,000 situation, investment that I had, it wasn't an investment at that time, but it is today. He goes, and you remember it to the penny how much it was, don't you? And of course, my answer was, after a bit of hesitation, trying to figure out where he's coming from, yes, of course I do. He goes, as long as you carry that attitude, you will never overcome it. And what he understood was that was etched deeply in my mind. Today I cannot tell you to the penny how much it was anymore. I have forgotten that. I have chosen to delete that from my mind. I no longer hold hard feelings against the person that did it. I just won't do business with him again. But I'm not hurt by that person anymore. I am speaking on a podcast this morning because of some of those things that happened. He's not. It's his business, not my problem. I don't know where he's at. I don't know how broke he is right now. I don't know what's going on for him. None of my business. What I do know is that has helped me become a better person. So what are all the negative things that you feel like you're doing, every person here that's desiring to overcome negativity? And what is in it of great value? Discover those things. Find the pearls in it. Find those gems, those hidden gems that are in those negative situations and scenarios. With that being said, guys, we went over the time I thought I would, but I hope there's been some value in it. This one challenged me a bit to dive into. It's a very good question, and it certainly was something I needed as well. So thank you, Jonathan, for request. With that, guys, you all have a great and amazing day. I encourage you to be positive today and to see a bright future ahead of you. With that, make it a great day, and do me a favor. As always, remember, don't settle for less than who you are. May God bless you.